Hey, Steph, it's great to connect again.
Hey, great to be here.
Um, so yeah, we at Decential are looking ahead to 2024. And of course, my focus there is on all things music. Um, and curious to get your thoughts as someone who spent a lot of time in the on-chain music space on what lies ahead in 2024. What are you excited about? What aren't you excited about? What trends are you seeing now? Um, is it the end of the bear market? Where are we?
I don't know if it's the end of the bear market, but that's a good question. I think we've arrived at a point at the end of 2023 where we realize that this has to be for something more than making money. Um, and I think the whole trend of like buy my NFT because it'll go up in value and you'll make money is done. So I think as we look to 2024, we need to look at practical use cases for it and how to build value other than the financial value. There were tons of great examples of musicians that built value without necessarily giving monetary rewards in the Web 2 world. And I want to see that come to the Web 3 space, to anything that's on chain. I think it's important to do that. It, whether it be through merch, through, just real life experiences. I think that that would excite me in 2024 to see that happening. I also want platforms or people out there to build for fans. I feel like there's been a lot of focus on artists and like we're here for artists, we're going to serve as artists, but what happened to the fans? Because there's been a lot of community building around these community artists, but then we haven't the side of like the collector base or the fan base hasn't been supported. So I'm hoping the platforms look to that or start building, a collector relation or a fan relations team. That's something that's lacking even in the Web 2 space. And it's a huge opportunity for builders in Web 3, if they start building for the fan bases.
Hmm. Yeah, totally. Are you mentioned some cool examples that have happened in the Web 2 world of being able to monetize without necessarily some of the speculation and those incentive structures. And it'd be cool to see more of those in Web 3, which I agree. I'm curious if if you could talk a little bit about some of those examples that you've seen, and then maybe some of the projects that you have seen in the on-chain music space that you're excited about because they are uh, leaning into some music first initiatives and or actually working with fans in a more hands-on way to build things that are actually going to be used.
I'm excited. So the one I'm excited about the most right now is probably Super Collector because it's setting a price point. It's transparent in that, people are just able to see a dollar amount and that's easy to understand. Um, I feel like converting to other currencies is not something that a lot of markets are used to. And so it's very difficult for the average consumer to do that. So I'm excited the Super Collector just has the dollar amount. And yes, some of the transaction in the background is crypto, but that's exciting. I'm also excited about in the Web2 space what's happening with TikTok, how they've rolled out music artist pages. I think that's going to be really fun for people to play with and experiment with. One thing that I do miss from like the days of Facebook is that the page of a musician looked different than a page from like a regular profile. And so I think having those opportunities are going to be exciting. And it's something I would love to see also brought to Web3 social, whatever that means. Um, I'm not excited about SocialFi. I don't think that should be a thing
Mhm.
because I feel like belonging to a community needs to be more than just buying into the community. Um, and then some of the examples that I said I saw on the Web 2 space is just artists either creating product like merch that was, exclusive for the fans that later became more valuable, or even these like big tours and live experiences. Some fans bought tickets to go to the tours, and then they kind of came to become popular because of the content that they were kind of collecting there. And so therefore those videos became popular, then it became part of press, and it was kind of interesting to see how fans themselves were getting notoriety. The frustrating part for me though was like, oh, hey, you're getting notoriety because your video became popular, but then what are you getting actually in exchange, right? So that's what excites me about blockchain and even blockchain social media, because that content is going to be, kind of collectible, and then that person can kind of monetize on that in other senses. Um, but for now, for this year, it was like great kind of like notoriety. Like, hey, there was this amazing content, this exclusive video. I feel like the entire world got to participate in these tours, even though they weren't inside the venue, because there were so many little clips and there was one little difference in this show and that show and the new outfits that the artists were wearing. And so all of that was very exciting for me to see. And I feel like before tours were kind of like it happens, it's over, and then we're done. Now there's like a great kind of record where we can go back and look at, well, this is what happened on this date and this other date, and fun little things, that even scientists were looking at if earthquakes could be created by a fan base, and so that was exciting. Um, and to see that on the blockchain, I think would be exciting, right? Because now that gives a fandom a mission, right? Like, oh, hey, last year on tour, we created an earthquake that was this strong. Can we do something stronger? It's like it just gives you motivations and things for people to get together, gain notoriety, and say, hey, I participated as part of this crazy huge project. Um, and I think that's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah. No, there's definitely an opportunity to capture value, in a different way, and I guess that's one of the advantages to, to a token sort of being inherently financialized, is that, you can collect and capture value at the same time. My last little question for you, coming back to the sort of, are we exiting the bear market? I'm curious if you curious how much of an effect uh, the state of the market has on the health of the overall music industry, and I guess specifically on chain, because of course during bull markets brings a lot of speculators into the space, which brings more money, which is good, but on the other hand, you know the reasons that they show up oftentimes aren't aligned. So I'm curious to, yeah, just to get your thoughts on how connected those two things are.
Well, they're definitely connect. It's a double-edged sword because I feel like right now, because it is a bear market, the people that were very successful have kind of lost their motivation, and some people have stepped away. And that's sad because those people I feel like were creating something that was of value. Um, and the one thing I would say is I don't want those people to stop experimenting, because I feel like when the bull market is happening, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna try this, because there's some money coming in at least. I don't want people to lose that experimental like mentality of like, let's try it out, let's see what happens, or who cares if I don't mint out. That sort of thing is important to have. But and the thing that people don't like that I say this, but I don't think the space was ever cool. It was just cool because people were making money, and um, music is more than just making money. People are literally just giving money to their favorite artists all the time because they love them. That's it. For them, the return on investment is the experience that they have with the artist. Um, and that's what I didn't like about the bull market, is that it was literally about making money. And the questions being asked of artists is like, well, what are you doing to raise your floor price? Like, those are not questions you should be asking a music artist. I would never ask my favorite artist that question because it just seems ridiculous to me. It's like, I don't care what you're doing for your floor price. I care how your music makes me feel more than anything. So I feel like in that sense, it's good that we're focused on that. However, I feel like we've neglected that bear or bull, there's plenty of people out there hungry for something new, and we just have to reach them. And it takes a lot of time and effort to get there. And that's where we need to be investing our time, is how do we build communities and products that make sense for these people, or make things that are more accessible. This is why still being on, an L1 thing is just not accessible to some people that, hey, they might have some expendable income to spend, but it's just, they don't want to spend double the amount of money for, what they think they're going to invest in. So I think there's a lot of really good intentioned people in the space that are trying to do things, but because of the pressures of VCs or the idea that we have to grow, 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 the bear market is very frustrating. Um, but I think there's still a way out. We just have to put on our thinking caps, be more creative, focus on building community, on educating fans and fandoms, and bringing people on board because in a thoughtful way. That's not just everyone come on board, give us your money, and more like in a thoughtful way that makes sense. Because that's what's going to really set us up for the next bull when the speculators are around. And yes, they're going to be throwing around money. Um, the important thing, oh, sorry about that. The important thing will be that we will have a strong community already here participating.
Hmm. Totally. Yeah, if you've got the foundation and the incentives are all headed in the right direction, aka toward the artists, then speculation comes in. At least the money is going to the right place, and the community is already built, and it can't be totally co-opted by the financial component of it. Um, cool. I think that's a great spot to end. A great hope, I think, for 2024. So yeah, I mean, thank you so much for your time, Steph.
Sounds good. Happy to be here. And everyone, I'm still hopeful for 2024. So let's keep it.